I wonder what's the latest news. Oh no, a storm hit the Philippines. Let's see how they're holding up. Oh no. Oh. Oh my god, how dare they? Well, at least the support is good, right?
If you want this, make me famous. Okay? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We're now here with a big
Oh, hello Internet, I'm Ashton Natarde, and welcome to Ethical Theory, the show that examines the moral chaos behind disasters, political decisions, and questionable choices. All from the safety of your screen. Throughout history, philosophers like Immanuel Kant, Jeremy Bentham, Aristotle, and Rousseau have wrestled with questions we still face today. How should people act? What responsibilities do leaders have? How do we balance rules, outcomes, character, and society itself? There are moments when honesty, fairness, leadership, and responsibility feel more important than ever. When headlines report mismanaged disaster funds, floods devastate communities, or ordinary people step up while some leaders simply vanish. Ethics isn't just about right and wrong. It's about why we act, how we treat others, and the principles we follow. And today, we're looking at 4 major ethical theories and how they can guide our decisions during crisis in the Philippines. Pop quiz! You're responsible for overseeing disaster relief funds, and you discover some projects were inflated or didn't even exist. Do you A. Keep it a secret to avoid controversy? Or B. Publish a full report, even if it sparks outrage? If you pick B, you're thinking like a deontologist, following duty and moral rules, no matter the consequences. Deontology, or Kantian ethics, emphasizes duty and principle over results. In other words, some actions are right or wrong in themselves, independent of their outcomes. Kant argued that morality is universal. There are rules that must always be followed if we are to act ethically. Key principles include: moral rules must be followed consistently. Right actions are binding on everyone, not just convenient for a few. Honesty is non-negotiable. Lying or deceiving is always unethical, even if it seems to produce better short-term outcomes. A wrong act is wrong no matter who does it or why. Ethical obligations are objective and not dependent on personal gain or social approval. His famous categorical imperative asks, what if everyone acted like this? If universalizing an action would lead to chaos, harm, or injustice, it is morally impermissible. Now, let's bring this down to reality. The Commission on Audit, or COA, reported that 344 million pesos worth of flood control projects in Bulacan were ghost or mismatched projects. Even if exposing the truth could be politically inconvenient, deontology emphasizes that the right action must be taken simply because it is right. While deontology tells us what we must do based on duty, sometimes decision-making isn't just about rules, it's about outcomes. Imagine your barangay has limited resources after a typhoon. One neighborhood has 400 families without clean water. while another has 50 families with minor damage. You must decide which area receives immediate aid first. Acting to help the largest number of people reflects utilitarian thinking, maximizing overall well being even when trade offs are involved. Utilitarianism, or consequentialism, judges morality based on the results of actions rather than intentions or rules. The theory is grounded in the area that ethical decisions should aim to produce the greatest net benefit for the largest number of people. Key principles include: actions are right if they produce positive results, wrong if they produce harm. It often involves trade-offs, and the ethical choice is the one that maximizes well-being while minimizing suffering. Everyone's welfare is considered equally. No individual's needs are valued more than others. And utilitarianism provides a framework for making tough decisions during crisis, resource shortages, and disasters. During Typhoon Uwan, the Department of Social Welfare and Development prioritized relief packages and cash aid to the most affected households, reaching the largest groups first. Leaders had to make the strategic trade-offs to help the greatest number immediately, while still planning aid for smaller groups. So, utilitarianism shows us the logic of maximizing good. But what about the people making these decisions? That's where virtue ethics comes in. Picture this: two local leaders during a flood. One avoids the scene to protect their image, while the other wades through floodwaters, helping families evacuate. Which one would you trust? The leader who acts with courage, integrity, and compassion exemplifies virtue ethics, prioritizing character over convenience or appearance. Virtue ethics, rooted in Aristotle, focuses on moral character rather than rules or outcomes. Ethics is about being the kind of person who acts righteously by cultivating virtues rather than merely following rules or calculating consequences. Key principles include: virtue is developed through repeated ethical actions, not just by abstract thinking. Courage, compassion, integrity, honesty, justice, and prudence guide decision making. Right actions flow naturally from a virtuous person, even when unsupervised. Ethics aims to create a thriving community and morally healthy individuals. Here is a real-life example. Barangay leaders and volunteers often step into dangerous conditions during floods and typhoons to ensure the safety of their constituents, demonstrating the very virtues Aristotle emphasized. This is by the Department of Interior and Local Government. True leadership is measured by character in action, not title or applause. Virtue ethics focuses on the people themselves. But even the best leaders operate within systems. That's why we need social construct theory to understand the relationships between citizens and government. Imagine you follow laws, pay taxes, and trust your officials. Later, you discover that funds meant for disaster relief weren't properly used, and officials respond vaguely. Speaking up and demanding accountability demonstrates social contract thinking, recognizing that mutual responsibility and trust are essential for a functioning society. Social contract theory, developed by Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau, posits that society is built on agreements between citizens and their government. Ethical governance arises when both sides honor their responsibilities. Key principles include: Citizens obey laws and pay taxes. Leaders must protect, serve responsibly, act transparently, and uphold justice. Governments derive authority from the consent of the governed and must fulfill their duties. A stable society depends on the reciprocal respect of rules and social responsibilities. When leaders break the contract, citizens are ethically justified in demanding transparency and action. Now, this is very applicable today because public scrutiny over misallocated flood control funds and irregularities in infrastructure contracts have sparked citizen demands for transparency and accountability. Social contract theory reminds us that ethical governance is a two-way street. Obligation go both ways. So, my fellow theorists, here's what we've learned today. Deontology. Do your duty even when it's hard. Utilitarianism. Choose actions that help the most people. Virtue ethics. Build the character of true leadership. Social contract theory. Trust survives only when both sides uphold their responsibilities. These theories aren't just lessons in class. They're lenses to understand real decisions in the Philippines, from disaster response to governance. Ethical leadership isn't optional. It saves lives, protects communities, and rebuilds trust. Stay safe, stay reflective, and above all, stay ethical. But hey, that's just a theory. Unethical theory. Educate that heart.